Alright guys, so you'll want to start off by getting the pattern in the link in the description box below. Now I'll show you guys later how to do the tail, but go ahead and get your pattern pieces ready and then go ahead and get your fabric. For this project I'll be using anti-pill fleece in pink, and you can choose whatever color you want and whatever fabric you want. And to mark my patterns I'll be using one of my Friction erasable pens. You can get these online anywhere, Amazon or other websites that you buy supplies for. And go ahead and start tracing your pattern pieces. You'll want to trace all the pieces except the nostrils on pink or whatever color you're using. Now be mindful of where your fabric stretches, because for example I have a horizontal stretch right here. So that means if I trace my pattern piece like this, the pig will sort of be a little bit longer. Now if the stretch is vertical or you just flip the pattern piece, then the pig will sort of gain a little bit of height. So just keep that in mind when you trace. So always double check your stretch on the fabric. So I went ahead and marked all my pieces. And now what you'll want to do with all this is go ahead and cut it out and leave some seam allowance. Now I'm gonna hand sew all this together so I won't have a really big seam allowance, but you can also machine sew this with no problem. The first pig I made with this pattern I actually machine sewed, but since a lot of my viewers might just be getting started into plushie making or might be younger, might not have a machine, so I'll just go ahead and hand sew to show that it's possible with that too. Now, apart from marking your pattern pink, you also want to cut out the nostrils. I just cut out 2 in black felt, and go ahead and put all that aside and start cutting. So you want to tackle all the small pieces first before you put all the big pieces together. So starting with the ears, you'll want to get your 2 pieces like this and just place them against each other, and then you'll just want to sew all the way around. Now I already did one, so you know how it should look like. So it should look like this, and then you'll just turn it inside out. So do that for the ears. Now for the body, you'll want to sew the little triangles together, or the little darts. That's what I like to call them, on triangles or darts. Sew those together and you should sort of get it like this. So do that for both sides. So you just place it together and then just sew along the line. And what this will do is you can sort of see how it's sort of making the piece pop out a little. That's going to give it some extra shape around the back. So that's what the darts are for. Don't sew up the ear one. You'll need this for the ear, so leave that open. And lastly, you'll want to sew up the little I don't know what you call these, I guess shapes near the legs. You'll want to sew them up. So sort of fold it evenly down half and then just sew along that little curved line. And they should look all like this, as you can see. And what this will do is it'll make the inner legs sort of stick up or stick down, so that he'll sort of be standing as opposed to having his feet outwards. So go ahead and do all these pieces and I'll show you what to do. So I completely forgot to tell you guys about the last few pieces. So you'll want to get these 2 pieces. This will be the butt area. So you'll want to just place them against each other, and you'll want to just sew this side, the long curved piece right here. Just sew that up and it should sort of open up like this after you're done. And then you'll want to get your nose piece, and as you can see, if you marked it with anything dark, just put it up against a light or a light box or something. Align your little nostrils there and then just glue them down or sew them on. For this next step, you'll want to get your 2 main body pieces and also your ear pieces. Go ahead and turn these inside out, which will then look like this. And you'll basically just place them inwards on this little dart that you cut out at the very top of the body. And basically you'll just want to sort of line it all the way as far as you can get it towards the bottom of the dart, and just pin it down and sew right along this line. At this point, I recommend to go ahead and add your safety eyes. So what I'm just going to do is poke a hole right here and then just push it right through. You'll want to take your butt piece, open it up, and you'll want to just sew it into this little pointy end of the underbelly. You can see this is the end for the nostrils and the nose. This will be the end for the butt. So just fit it sort of in there and just sew it and attach it together. Now take your underbelly piece and your side pieces and you'll basically just start aligning it. So sort of align the legs together and the snout over here and sort of just pin it down and make sure it's really aligned. You want to make sure that you don't sew anywhere outside the little trace line that you have, otherwise it could sort of mess with your pattern. And just align it all the way until you end the little butt over here. And if you're not sure how it's supposed to look, I'll go ahead and do mine and you'll see how it should look. Alright, so it's pretty much a straight shot from this sewing. So basically you'll just start at one point, sew all the way around these little legs areas, all that, and just end at the butt piece right here. And once you do that, you'll pretty much pin this other side along with the other piece. So it's sort of like just connecting everything together. So I already sewed up both sides of the bottom right here and all the way to the butt, as you can see. Okay, so for the tail, what I like to do is just get a small rectangle piece of fabric like this. Just fold it in half and you can pin it down if it makes it easier for you. So just fold it in half. And right here is where you'll want to sort of draw the tail and you'll sort of have to freehand it. The reason I say this is because you can sort of make your pigtail however long or short you want and how many times you want it to curl. So what I like to do is just sort of make it, I guess, medium size. So I'll just draw a little piece of pattern right here. Doesn't have to be too perfect, but make sure that it's easy to turn inside out, otherwise it's going to be really hard. So that's probably my tail right there. I'll just sew along this line right here, leave a little opening, and then turn it inside out, and then I'll show you how to put the wire. If you have your tail sewn and trimmed, you'll want to take something long and thin to help you push this inside out, otherwise it's going to be really difficult to use your hands. It's possible, but this makes it a lot easier, so just keep that in mind. Once you have your piece, you'll want to get some wire, and I highly recommend to make sure it's longer than your tail piece, and you'll want to sort of fold it. You don't have to have a folded piece, but I prefer it so that this end isn't pointy. You don't want something sticking out and sharp. So what I like to do is sort of twist the wire to keep these two ends from sort of just being loose inside there. So go ahead and do that real quick. Okay, now take your tail piece and your wire, and you want to put the wire inside. So from the opening in there, just make sure it goes all the way to the end. Now you'll want to take your tail, and if it stretches like fleece, this is fleece, you'll want to pull it down and try to get it to stretch as much as you can. Not too much to where you're damaging the fabric or the seams, but enough to where it's sort of a nice fit to the wire, because you don't want it to be too loose and then the wire is loose inside. So that's why you want to leave a little extra, like you measure the wire longer than the actual piece. And down here you'll want to sort of sew down and entwine it sort of in between where you were bending the wire. As you can see, you can probably fit your needle in right there if you open a little bit, and sort of just sew it down back and forth until your wire can't come out. So here's my tail piece, And I sewed it pretty good, so the wire shouldn't be going anywhere, as you can see. And don't even worry if it looks ugly down here. You won't even see that. So don't start curling your tail just yet. You'll want to get your body piece that you had earlier. And you want to put your tail inside with this end right here inside. You can curl it if you need a little bit of space. Sometimes it's a little hard to, get it in there. But basically, you'll want to align it right there at the end of the butt piece. And you'll want to sew, I would say, up to these stars. So sew this part right here. And this will hold your tail in piece. Now, you're going to leave your opening to turn this entire thing inside out up here. So if you want to curl your tail that way, so that when you turn it inside out, you can just grab this piece right here and then pull it, go ahead and do that. But for now, just go ahead and make sure to sew this pretty well. So I already have this part sewn up, and as you can see, I also trimmed down a little bit of the wire. So now what you want to do is take your two pieces right here and sort of just pin them down, and you'll want to sew along the top right here and leave a space, I would say probably about that much space unsewn, so that you can turn the push inside out and then stuff it. The last step before you turn your piggy inside out is to put the front of the nose. So you'll basically just place it in there with the right side in and sort of try to fit it in correctly. And you can pin it down and then just sew around. So I already have my little nose sewn up and everything else is ready to go. So now through this little gap right here that you left open, go ahead and turn your entire plush inside out. And now you can go ahead and start stuffing your plush. Now from here, what you can go ahead and do is go ahead and curl your tail. So it's sewn in, it's not going anywhere. And you sort of just want to twist it around into a little tail curl. And there you go. And just twist it however many times you want. Or if you just want to leave it like pretty short or anything. And the last thing you want to do is sew up this little gap where you turned it inside out. So that's pretty much it. That's how you make your own little piggy, as you can see. And you can change the fabric to make it a little bit different. Like the one I posted on Instagram, that was done with minky fabric. This is done with fleece. So just change it up however much you want. If you have any questions about the pattern, or maybe I didn't explain something that well, go ahead and just tell me down in the comment section. I'll try to help you as much as I can. And if you have any requests for future tutorials, go ahead and let me know as well. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Bye.